god, did you see his numbers again? Yeah, he's been at the bottom for like a month.
Come on, you scrubs! To arms!
Lex might be a little too far from the mic, maybe a little closer.
It's touching my face.
Not another spider!
I was not protected. Oh yeah, doesn't work with fall damage.
I was standing in the pool because I thought we had the silken.
Ooh, fell asleep at my desk. And I drowned in the Stormwind Canal.
No, Jim, I don't want to hear about your Chaos Bolt.
What, you want me to dispel? I don't even have that on my action bars.
Stop standing in the fire!
What fire?
Alright, pre-pot, and tricks to the trade. Oh, that was the healer.
What just killed me there? Yep, physical damage. So bad at playing a demon hunter.
Oh my god, we did it.
You're listening to Scrubs vs. the World with your hosts, Cy and Projali.
And welcome into the show, everyone. Tonight, Projali and Cy. We're two-man in it. No interviews this evening, but we're definitely going to be covering the new raid, Castle Nathria. But before we do that, Projali, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. It's been a long 3 weeks of grinding and moving house, but I'm here, I'm geared, I'm ready to raid. There you go.
Well, it's amazing that you're able to move literally right before the raid dropped.
It was a Herculean, is that how it's pronounced? Herculean effort, but we made it happen, got the office painted, computer set up, and I lived to tell the tale.
There you go. And everything else is still packed, right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But dining room is this weekend. We'll work on that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, important stuff first. Got to get the computer set up.
Right.
Can't be missing the raid.
No.
Well, cool. Yeah, so how has the raid been going for you guys?
Jumped into it last Tuesday and cleared through normal, and then got into heroic, and Sludge Fist is no joke. That fight hits very hard, and even with the nerfs that they did midweek, it still hits very hard. But it's been fun. It's been an awesome raid, and I'm definitely excited to get back in there and start Mythic.
Nice. Yeah, we jumped into normal because we are the casual Knights of Chipotle, and we do things in our own time.
Of course.
But we jumped in. We got down Shriekwing, the Huntsman, and Destroyer. Ooh. So we're looking forward to getting back in it on Wednesday, which was a few days ago, but tomorrow, as of this recording.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be good. I'm excited. Got a weapon out of the vault.
Ooh,
that's big time for me. I'm still hurting on the old ilevel, but right. I'm actually enjoying the story and playing the quest lines, and I'm farting around. I'm not doing my normal raid grind thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What I probably should be doing, but
But
yeah. But I have the missus playing with me, so I'm trying to ease her back into the game because she played with me in Classic, mm-hmm. and that was basically the last time we played together.
Right.
Was back in Vanilla. Well, then we played in Classic when it launched again, but this new version of the game has been a challenge for her. She's enjoying it though,
mm-hmm.
which is exciting. We got to get her on so we can talk about her experiences.
That'd be awesome. Yeah,
that'd be fun because she's like, it was hilarious because we did oh god, what is it, Ring of Glory or whatever. And we first time through it on heroic. She was like, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Like, the bridge room freaked her out pretty good. And then we did it again the next time, and she was like, it's like she's been there 100 times. And even one moment, our warrior died in the group. Mm-hmm. It was a pug. And she's like, how could you let that guy die? What the hell's wrong with you? So she's figuring it out, and okay. I love it. So
the connections are being made.
They are. And with that Mythic quest that just dropped,
mm-hmm.
We're going to try to roll into the Mythics and get her some gear. And my goal is to get her into the raid.
Ooh.
So she can see it. That's my goal.
It's so cool. Yeah, anybody...
Whether that's her goal or not, that's another story.
Remains to be seen. But with enough encouragement and support, you can make it happen. I
Exactly.
believe.
And the dogs, ladies and gentlemen, the dogs are back. If you hear a bunch of noises in the background, I'm home alone this evening, and I have to watch the dogs and podcast. So, Pepper and Gidget, say hello.
Hello, hello. Woof, woof.
So if you hear noises I can't edit out, I apologize, but the show mascots have arrived. Well, cool. Well, on that note, the dogs want to know about what are the best ways to get ready for Nathria?
So there's quite a bit you can do, and it's laid out. I believe Wowhead has a pretty good summary if you're looking for a list of things to do. But one of the places you're going to start is in the maw. So you want to get into the maw. It seems a little scary at first, and it gets a little more difficult as you go through. But there's some dailies and weeklies in there that you're completing, getting your rep up, and collecting Stygia, which is a resource that you'd use to buy some sockets later on down the road, and some tools that you can use in Torghast, which is another place we'll talk about in a moment. But getting through the maw, there's an event that shows up occasionally called Wrath of the Jailer, and if you're able to go in and complete that and defeat the little boss, it's kind of everybody converges on one area, completes it together. You have a chance at 183 item, I believe, 181, somewhere in that range, along with some rep and Stygia. So it is always good to at least complete that once. Druids do get a legendary from it. It's not Balance's best, but it's a good option. So it's good to get in there and get that if you need a legendary.
Nice. Yeah, the Maw's been one of my favorite zones, actually. And, going through it, people are like, oh, this sucks because we can't mount up, we can't do anything because of the eye of the jailers looking at you and it's leveling up too quickly. But I think that adds just a new element to it. It kind of makes you feel like you're in a place you're not supposed to be. But it kind of gives that fun feeling of, holy crap, the jailer's watching us. I need to get in and get out. And those poor Mossworn that are on those little mechanical rat things, every time I see one, it's like Grand Theft Auto. Just go kill it. Sounds like this in the background.
I gotta steal that mount. Yeah. Ghost Wolf goes at... Well, see, that's the nice thing, is we play two of the classes that are a little more mobile in there. You've got Travel Form for Druids, and you've got Ghost Wolf for Shaman. Since you can't mount in the maw, those are pretty invaluable tools.
So now, what do you think about Torghast?
Well, so Torghast is an area that is basically the jailer's prison, his quarters. It's all sorts of twisting and turning up a castle in a way, but it's got wings, and it's got 2 open every week, and you're able to complete level by level, and there's floors within those levels, and an end boss. It's actually been a lot of fun because you're able to pick up these powers throughout as you defeat enemies and break open chests and kind of solve the puzzles within Torghast. You get these random powers that make your class kind of succeed and blow through the content as much as you can, and it gets progressively harder and harder. So it's definitely been a challenge, but I've had a lot of fun with it. That's
probably been my favorite thing that Blizzard has added to this game for me. And when the missus and I go in there, it feels like we're back in Classic, going through those zones where we're like 5 levels too low. And it is so fun to get, like, you start off and you're going super slow. Now, they do take a long time, but like, if you have the time, it just feels like a classic dungeon. It just has that classic WoW feel to it. I'm not saying like classic the game WoW, like a classic MMO World of Warcraft feel to it. So kind of the feelings I got back when I first started playing the game are coming back to me in Torghast. And once you get beefed out with like 30 abilities added on, it's just so much fun. So my favorite ability in there is the one that lets me drop 2 totems at the same time. So I drop one, and then it drops a random totem for me. And that has been probably the coolest abilities I've seen thus far.
Yeah. No, that one is tons of fun for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So I know Torghast is important to do, and that's because the Soul Ash you get out of there gets put towards your legendary piece that you can craft. So it's important to try to get as high as you can every week to get as many of those ashes as you can. And there's also some memories in there too. So you can go in. I think there's 2 of them for me that I already got.
Right.
And oh no, I'm sorry. There's one more I'm going to get once the wing opens up. But you just do like a level 3 floor on the one that you can get it on. And to find that, you just open up your adventure log, hit powers, and it'll show you exactly where you can go get these memories. So pick the one, like my Guilty Panda, he put out a PSA saying, don't just craft one because you can at the beginning. Like, absolutely, like, try to get in there and try to pinpoint the one you actually want, if you can.
Yeah.
Now, if you can't, obviously, do what you got to do. But if you can, and you can take that extra day or two to go get that memory, like, get the one you want, and then go from there, because it's going to make your life a lot easier.
Yep. You'll need to spend Soul Ash each time you upgrade or create a legendary, and that gets increasingly more expensive. So rushing into making just the first memory that you pick up and making that a legendary could actually backfire on you. You wanna kind of figure out what your class is after, what you probably want to play with, and the content that you want to do, and figure out kind of your timeline for getting that. It's a legendary. It's supposed to be important. So.
Right.
And they're pretty good power, so you want to make sure you're making a good choice.
And again, 2 different mindsets on the show now. I just gave sound advice, and you backed me up on that. I, however, made the first one I could, because I was like, oh crap, I'm not going to make ilevel this week, and my belt was like 138, so I made a belt with my legendary. Like I got,
which one did you end up making?
Norganon's. It's the one where if I cast a healing wave or healing surge, I get a stacking buff that goes up to 5 that increases my power of my chain heal. Not ideal. Now it's not. Now in my defense, it's not on the best list and it's not on the worst list. It's kind of in the middle. And I've kind of adapted my play style to benefit from it. So I also have the Soul Conduit or Soulbind, and the Conduit where if I drop a Stormcloud totem, I get 3 empowered healing waves, healing surges, or riptides. And so I will use that to kind of pop out, I'll do like 2 or 3 healing surges, which is probably not mana efficient, just to get it up a little bit. And then as it, like on the slow times, I'm just trying to cast a healing wave, and then when stuff hits the fan, then I'll drop a chain heal.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's been working. Now, it's probably debatable if that's the best, quote unquote, but
definitely.
Second that item level, baby.
Just gonna make that number no matter
That's
what.
Right. I'm not being benched. F that noise.
Oh man.
Well, cool. So next on the docket is consumables. So every raider needs to have consumables. It's the rules. Like if you are new to raiding, that's like the one thing you can do on your own to empower your character and also help others, because people forget. But I mean, that's like you have a way to heal yourself, you have a way to give yourself some mana back, and you have a way to buff yourself with food and flasks. So right now, I'm making a ton of money off of selling herbs and stuff. What are some other options if you can't really afford it yet?
Right. So just some of the cheaper options, at least with the current consumables, they brought back armor kits. So those are out there for the leather workers and to make for their raids. That's going to buff up your stamina even. And those go on the chest. Those are about a 2-hour buff. Those the 16 stam ones are pretty cheap usually. The 32 ones are a little more expensive, but those are one of the more reasonable ones you could bring to each raid. Potions right now are ridiculous, as are flasks, because they use 1 herb, and those herbs tend to get very expensive. So, depending on your options there, you may want to look at what the pricing is on the old Battle for Azeroth potions and flasks and food, because some of those are about half the stats or a third of the stats, but any little bit counts. If you can't drop 2,500 gold on a current flask, maybe look at 300 gold for an old flask, and it may not be the best, but when you're pushing new content, it every little bit helps.
Yep, exactly. So now Blizzard, when they launched Shadowlands, they made it a real good effort to lower the drop rate of gear.
Oh yeah.
Now, kind of, like, what were some of the things you did to kind of help you negate this kind of downside to what they're doing here?
So, not only did they do that, but the crafting gear, at least available to us now, and we're not including the legendary ones because you can only have one of those. Crafted gear right now gets you only up to probably heroic dungeon level. Now, when you're leveling on, you just hit 60. Grabbing some of those blue pieces off the auction house is a pretty solid option. I definitely recommend it. They're a couple thousand a piece on most servers. It's not too expensive if you're looking to gear up quick. You just get in there, you start running dungeons. Once you get that, you just queue up if you don't have a group. Looking for a group, you can find dungeons and heroics. Get your gear up really quick. Start running Mythic Zeros. That's what we did week 1 when that was the first thing available. Just try and get as much gear as you can from the dungeons. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So going from that, they've we briefly touched on it with your Conduit and Soulbind, but each covenant gives you Soulbinds, which allow you to equip, essentially, in your Soulbind with different conduits. And you find those in dungeons, you find those in raids, you find those in weekly quests, and those give you a little buff to an offensive or a defensive ability. So there's different conduits you can pick up through the dungeon grind, and those are from set dungeons typically. So always be on the lookout for anything you can get there. You just steadily climb. If you can start doing a Mythic Plus dungeons, gets you higher gear. Mm-hmm. They've definitely restricted how much gear drops from Mythic keys, but it's the only thing you can really do outside of raid to push that gear up right now.
Yeah, it's I got pretty lucky. I got a 190 shield and a 190 cloak out in the world.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I remember I was sitting there, and some dude's like, "Hey man, I'll buy that cloak off you, but I'll give you like 120k right now." And I was like, "No, I need to make raid ilevel. This is mine, baby. Bark up another tree, buddy." Hindsight being 2020, I probably should have taken the gold.
You may replace it soon enough.
Yeah, but I mean, it's fine. I'm doing like the callings and stuff. You make on the epic ones, you can make up to like 5,000 gold a chest, and it's like they're giving you one of those every other day. It feels like, and you know the blue ones give you like 1,500. So it's like you're getting the gold emissary almost every day. So even though I've dropped a bunch of money, like on the hell's that called? The piece you have to buy to actually craft your legendary.
Yeah, the base piece.
That one thingy.
The white armor thing. Yeah.
And I mean, I've replenished that and then some. And I've been selling herbs, and I'm going to start selling potions here. But like I got on and got my mage up into Shadowlands, so now I'm crafting things. So I'm kind of making enchants on the side and sending them to my main. I got a leather worker starting up, so I'm going to make those white pieces and send them to them to Cy. So then that way I can save some money there, and I'm going to level them anyway, so I might as well just do it now. And that's been helpful. So
the crafting professions are a pretty good way to make money right now. It's not necessarily the way to gear up to the higher levels. I think they kind of put a gap between that intentionally to make this a little slower start to the expansion. And so, but it's definitely a way to make money and afford those expensive consumables we were talking about.
There we go. Well, and I found too, if you're an herbalist, the Maw's a great place for the nightshade. And each of the zones have a pretty good spread, I've found, of other herbs as well as nightshade. Like, it's not like anchorweed, where it felt like I had to run 17 miles just to find one.
Right.
And then run again for 17 miles to find the next one. And so I feel like they've done a better job of making the herbs accessible. Now, I have to fight things, of course, because we're out there. But, I mean, as that gear level goes up, you're going to be able to fight things in the world easier, and it's just going to be... Things will start to get easier. We're going to hit our streak here, or hit our smooth spot in probably 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, if you're keeping up with everything. So, I think it's...
Definitely.
I think it's a good thing. Now, this next feature that we're going to talk about, I'm super pumped about. I mentioned earlier, I got a weapon out of the vault, and the Great Vault is what we're bringing up here. Now... How does this vault work compared to the weekly cash system from BFA?
Yeah. So the weekly cash system in Battle for Azeroth was a chest that you would open up Tuesday for our CUS people and Wednesday for our European folk. But you would open that up, and based on the highest key you had completed for that week, you'd get a certain item level item from the mythic rewards that you could get. For better or for worse, I can't tell you how often I would get 3 trinkets in a row that I didn't need. It's just this frustrating system. If you got an amazing piece, you could wear it maybe the patch, and if you got a worse piece, you'd be like, oh well, I get to wait a whole another week now for Magic Box to fail me again. People started calling it the box of disappointment in my guild. I think other guilds are pretty similar.
We did too. Yeah, it was the shoe box for me for a while, because it felt like I only got boots.
Yep. Oh, there we go. Yeah, see? It's known by many names, but it is one and the same. So the Great Vault improves greatly. It gives you... It's a 3x3 grid. So you've got 3 options from Raid, you've got 3 options from Mythic Dungeons, and you've got 3 options from Rated PvP. You get to choose one out of there, and you get to increase how many you get up to that 3 per, based on the content you did for the week. So, starting with the Raid one, the first reward is available once you kill 3 Raid bosses. Second one's available once you kill 7 raid bosses, and the third option's available once you kill 10 raid bosses. So the next time you open it on Tuesday, for instance, it's also based on the difficulty of the bosses that you killed. So an example would be if I killed 10 normal bosses, so if we cleared it on normal, and we did 3 on heroic, it's going to let me pick 1 heroic option from the 3 raid boss area, because I killed 3 heroic. Since I didn't kill 7 heroic, it's going to default to a normal on that 7 raid boss and 10 raid boss slot. But either way, the fact that I killed 10 bosses gives me more options, so that if that heroic piece is something I already have a slot of, it's giving me 2 more options in that row to say, hey, here's other raid loot that that you could benefit from. So it gets away from... You're stuck with just 1 option a week, which is what the old chest did. This, if you want to do more content, you can get more options, and it helps you up gear a little faster that way. The Mythic Dungeon one operates similarly to the raid one. So you get your first one based on the highest single key you did for the week. So that includes Mythic 0 up to Mythic 15 right now. The item level will increase based on the highest difficulty you did. The second option is at 4 Mythic Dungeons completed, and the third option is available at 10 Mythic Dungeons completed. And so those are also based on, so say the 4 Mythic Dungeon one that's based on the 4th highest key level you did, and the third one is based on the 10th highest key level you did. So if you want to grind a bunch of dungeons,
there you go.
You got options.
Well, and I think what's really cool about this system is it gives raid teams, especially teams who, we only raid once a week, for example, it gives us more options. It helps us get gear. So we killed 3 raid bosses last week. I got a neck piece out of the gear, or out of the raid, and then I got a weapon out of the vault. So now I have 2 pieces of gear in between my raid times. So, I mean, it's just another way to help kind of supplement bad luck drops. And it's a really cool system. And then if you do that, so like I know like half of our guild's doing PvP right now, and it's a good way to really make sure you get something in that once a week chest. And I like that they spread it out so you can get 3 different like you can choose a piece. Like that's awesome. That's such a good idea. And I can't wait to do more Mythic Dungeons and a raid in a week so I can really see what it's like. And, maybe next week I get to choose between 2 sets of boots. Who knows? Let's see what happens.
It's it's the boot box 2.0. Yeah, it definitely gives those folks who only raid and don't really delve into the Mythic Dungeons an option. Because the weekly cash used to be just based on dungeons. So this is a great improvement there.
Well, cool.
There's one thing.
What was that?
There's one thing I forgot to mention.
Oh, what was that?
And it's been a fundamental part of WoW open world content. Is there's world bosses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so each week, different zone is going to have a world boss and an opportunity at a drop. So it is definitely worth tracking down which zone that world boss is in and going and throwing yourself at it until it falls over so you can try and get some loot.
Yeah, I got a fun story about that. I think that I got the third. I have 3 pieces here. I forgot to mention this. I got a pair of 207 gloves and a kick-ass conduit from the boss in Maldraxxus. But yeah, I forgot about world bosses. But that's a great way to do it too. Well, cool. Well, I think that's a pretty good way to do it. I mean, if you can get that vault churning out pieces of gear for you, that's going to be great. And hopefully your luck is better than some, and you're able to get the drops like I did. But I think to get into normal, I went in at 168, which is 3 item levels lower than heroic level for 2 item levels. It's like 170
for the dungeons. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I was right in the wheelhouse of heroic level gear, and when I was in there, I felt like I struggled mightily at times. Because mana was a problem and everything else was a problem because I just didn't have the gear yet. So, so anything you can do outside a raid is going to help you inside the raid, obviously. That was a John Madden comment right there. Whoever scores the most points is going to win, but you know what I mean. Like the little thing helps.
It's keep it simple. Why? Yeah, the higher item level you get, generally, the better you're going to do.
Right. And you have the tools as well. So, like, when you get drops, if you're looking to min-max, you can use, what is that? Raid bots.
Raid bots, yeah. The Droptimizer.
Yeah, you can do that. One of my guildies mentioned that they have a new way. So if you get a whole bunch of pieces out of your vault, you can go and weight the stats to see what's going to be the best one for you.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out. I think they offer a subscription service, but I think you don't have to do it. You just have to wait in a queue, which isn't that long. And that helped me a ton in BFA with the corruption system.
It was the only way to optimize corruption. You just had to sim it.
Yeah. It was nuts. Well, cool. Well, I think we know how to get into the raid.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk some strategy. So, in Castle Nathria, let's lay down some background. Why are we going into Castle Nathria? Like, what's the whole point of this raid?
Prince Renethal is a little upset with Sire Denathrius, having to do with leeching anima from the population and donating it to his archenemy, the Jailer. So we are coming in to see what the anima theft is all about.
Not a big fan of the Jailer myself.
Ooh, he is a spooky figure.
He is. I like how he is menacing.
Mm-hmm.
I am excited to go fight him. But I think this first raid right here is setting up this expansion to be potentially one of the best raiding expansions, in my opinion. And I've only seen 3 bosses so far. Because the atmosphere is super cool, the look of it is super cool, and the bosses in there are really interesting.
Yeah. So,
the first boss, Freakwing, or Batboy as I like to call him, it's a gargoyle. So his abilities are based around being blind as a bat, quote unquote. You could tell that was like a method of trying to design this fight. But how did you guys approach this?
So it was... We had done kind of a strategy debrief on all the bosses the night before. I think we had gotten the raid into Discord and just said, hey, 30 minutes, if you're cooking dinner or whatever, just get in here and listen. So 30 minutes before raid really... or 30 minutes before, just on a Monday night, we kind of chatted through each of the bosses. So one of the things that my raid leader, Jimmy, emphasized on kind of describing this fight was phase 2, you can't touch the boss.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't take damage. So your whole thing while he's roaming the room with his circle of death around him is to just stay out of line of sight. He's going to occasionally cast his ear-splitting shriek, and it's going to do a ton of damage. If you don't break the line of sight, you're going to leave a damage zone on the ground. It's bad news. He's got Echoing Screech on Heroic, which was another thing we wanted to call out, which is he sends out little circles, little sonic circles around the room. And so if you stand in those, you get hit by those. You stun, you leave a little circle around you, and you're going to have the boss crash down and kill you. So it's similar to the red puddle mechanic, but if you're getting hit by his little sonic screeches, you're gonna make a bad time for your raid. So this whole fight is about ducking in and out behind those pillars, getting the red out, and just laying into the boss during phase 1 when he's available.
Nice.
It is one of those bosses where a smaller roster might be easier on Heroic, because you may, if you got too many people out there, you're setting yourself up to get something dropped on you by somebody who's not paying attention.
Yeah, that is true. It makes it a little more exciting than it probably needs to be. But I think though, from an opening boss standpoint, I feel like this is a pretty good one. Because once you figure the dance out, like, it's going to go to farm pretty quickly, if we're being honest with ourselves. Like, it's not like anything super crazy that we have never seen before. Like, we've seen elements of stuff like this. But I think just jumping in and, as far as, like, on normal, the difficulty, our group was able to figure it out, and we were able to work through it, and we had a lot of fun, actually, conversing about the strategy and what we should be doing. And it was actually the most engaged I think I've ever seen the guild.
Really?
Which is exciting. And because like in the past, like we've had this the philosophy of our raid leader's gonna tell us what to do, then we go do it, right? That's most philosophies. Sure. But in this one, our Hika he changed it up a bit on us, and I think it worked. He got us, because during boss strat talk, like, if you're not into it, you're going to tune out. And so by having the tank pulled immediately, everyone's like, oh shit, let's go. I was actually pissed. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, who's doing this? What kind of Mickey Mouse garbage is this?
Who pulled early?
Yeah, what the hell's going on here? But as we got into the evening, And we would go, so we'd do a poll. It's like, let's just see it. Let's do a poll, let's see what happens, and we'll go from there. So we do a poll. Then he explains the mechanics. So we did the poll on the bat. We got face eaten. I think we got to phase 2, but it was not pretty. Like, it was holy crap, we're all dying. What's happening?
Yeah.
But then we talked about the strat, and so he was able to kind of feed us what was going on. And so as the night went on, the strategy started to sync up, and we started to get it finally. So I think with how we're approaching it, it's going to work for our group in the end. And it's going to make it more fun. So this is the most fun I've had in a raid night in a long time. And it's the first boss. And usually first, like, progression gets crazy because you start smashing your head against the wall and it sucks and it's stressful and all that stuff. But I think I got to give props to the H-Man for the nice Chipotle for getting this dialed in, even though I was upset at first. But yeah, so now the second boss, we have the Huntsman Altimore. This boss was a little more juicy than the first boss.
Oh, definitely.
This boss, he has pets, and the pets do really horrible things. The good news is he shares a health pool with the pets, so as you drop the pets, he'll go down with them. The problem is, those pets do bad things to the raids if they're not dealt with. And so how we did it was, we did the first poll, kind of, beat him down a little bit, and at some point, I don't know when, because I was trying to figure out healing strat on this, we pull a bear over and spread them out a bit, and then they summon big-ass bears that have to be healed all the way. And then another bear that does AoE damage if it's not interrupted. And so we figured that out the hard way. It took us a few times to get it dialed in. But once we figured the dance out, we got it. So another fun element to this is he'll target 3 raid members, at least he did in our group. And he'll have arrows on him. He'll zap you with arrows, does damage. And if you're in the arrows, obviously you get hurt too. And then he does another thing where everyone has to kind of crash in on you and stack and soak.
Yep.
And at first, how we had our ranged was we had our ranged back about 15 yards from the melee.
Okay.
And so we dropped our monk healer dropped one of those statue totem things. And so we all kind of fanned around that. So whenever we got the arrows, we just kind of shuffle outside of our group. So then we'd move the arrows out, and it'd be fine. And then if someone got the circle, we just crashed in on the monk statue. And that worked for us. Now, what the kicks and everything, we had to set up a kick rotation, obviously. And so that turned out to be hairy. But eventually we got it, because that boss can go sideways immediately.
Right.
Like on a moment's notice. Put it nicely. So, now that I've given the, let's say, rough around the edges explanation of that one, how did you guys tackle that?
So, he definitely, this first couple nights, the bleeds in this fights were extremely spicy, probably overtuned, judging by the nerfs that they did throughout the week. But it's still at a spot where it's no joke. So, one thing that kind of adjusts with that group soak that you were talking about where he's targeting somebody and you all have to stack up and soak it is that it applies a bleed in Heroic. So you only want to stack as many people as you think you can get away with soaking it together, absorb that damage, without applying a bleed to a bunch of people. So that's a little variation that happens. His Sin Seeker arrow, so he'll target 3 people and shoot an arrow at them. You want those people to spread kind of away from the rest of your raid group so people aren't taking unnecessary damage there. The first dog's pretty straightforward. It charges somebody. That's soak mechanic. The second dog that you were talking about, where he spawns a soul that you got to heal up to full and get it out of there, and he'll spawn that dog that you got to interrupt. What you want to do with that dog is you want to keep it CC'd as long as you can. You don't want AoE on it. You don't want dots on it right away. Each second or two that it's CC'd, it'll gain a stack of a damage taken increase. So then once it's about 20 stacks, you want to pull that guy back into your raid, get that interrupt rotation going on him again, and burn him down, because it's a lot easier once he's got some of that damage stack on there. I think a lot of raids will run into issues with people popping AoE too early and keeping that guy knocked out of his CC, so that your mages are yelling at you, let me polymorph him, let me frost trap him, come on, what are you doing? Oh my god.
That's
so avoid those situations.
That is exactly what was said, only with a little more enthusiasm on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, it gets very vocal. So, and as a boomkin, I've got my finger over my Starfall button just waiting. So it's tough, I know, but so getting through that phase can be tricky. But once you get the dog dance down, not too bad. The last phase, oh my goodness, tanks do not like that third dog at all. So definitely move that dog, because it's bad. Every time he moves, your raid takes damage. So make sure everybody's topped before that dog starts moving.
Yes, that is 100% accuracy. That dog created a lot of mayhem, but how we were able to deal with it was, as long as we were all kind of together, I was able to put Healing Rain down. I was able to Spirit Link in a pretty clutch spot and kind of keep some people up throughout the end of that fight. Because once you get past the ads, it actually gets easier. It's like the fight starts at like 11, and then as you kill the dogs and kill his pets, it comes back down to like a 3.
Right.
And the key is, if you can get past that second dog without breaking polymorph too hard, it becomes a lot easier fight. And that final piece, while it's a pain in the ass, it is doable. So I was a bit worried, because we have someone who kind of joins us from time to time, and his guild got stuck on this boss.
Sure.
And so, I was like, oh crap. Because, this guy's like following me raids in a mythic level guild as well, I believe. And, he came in at the end of BFA and kind of big dogging a little bit. I think people were bumping him up, though. I don't think it was him. He was actually a really nice guy. But everyone's giving him crap. Because, hoity-toity mythic guy, but...
Look at this guy.
Yeah. But, it felt good to get in and get that kill. Because that was a tough one.
Yep.
Next on the docket. Now, funny story on this. I know Sun King and Artificer Zymox are technically next on the list of things to kill.
Sure.
But we got through Hungering Destroyer, and when we went and pulled it, silly me didn't prepare for Hungering Destroyer, so I had no idea what he looked like.
Oh no.
I didn't even look at the journal or anything. And we roll up there, and we just start fighting him like he was a piece of trash. Like somebody shot him. We were like,
big guy.
we're like, oh, is this a boss? And then our raid leader's like, no, he's trash. And so like, for a good 20 seconds, we're all sitting there like, are we? This feels like a boss. Are you sure this isn't a boss? Like, that's what poor Heek is dealing with right there. Is that?
Oh man,
half of us didn't know it was a boss, myself included. Pretty funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but let's talk about that one, because we dropped that one. I can kind of tell you my experience on that. This one we wiped about 5 times on. Okay. And this boss, so he drops a nice little circle on you. And in that circle, so if you get targeted by the circle, you can't be healed. However, you can get 2 allies in the circle with you, and they can be healed, because you're going to siphon life out of those 2 guys. Or gals. People. Raid team mates. Whatever you want to call them.
Victims.
Yes. So you want to make sure you stay close enough to everybody to where they can jump in, but you don't want to overlap the circles, because if somebody gets caught in 2 circles, that's a bad deal for them. And that was the fun mechanic. That was like the holy crap. Once we figured it out, it wasn't that bad, but trying to figure that out, I was like, I don't even know. Like, I can't figure this out. And so what we ended up doing was we ended up kind of loose crescenting. I guess I don't know if that's a proper military term or not. We'll go crescenting around melee. So, so the tanks were on the other side of the boss, and we were on the boss's ass. And so we were kind of loose spread around with melee. And so that way, if someone got the circle, we can all kind of just move ever so slightly to help each other out. But the mechanic that really killed us was the beams on the target. So we target 3 raid members. At least in our group size, he targeted 3. And that beam, if you get hit by it, equals insta-vaporize. And so we tried all kinds of ways to do it, and just we're finally like, okay, if you get targeted by the beam, you're going to run to the left or right. Whichever side you're closest to, just go that way, let the beam go, and then come back. So once we got that dance down, then it was easy money, because then he does the big AoE life suck. You have to run from the boss, and he sucks life out of you and heals himself. So just use your speed burst and get the hell out of there. And then rinse, repeat, and collect your loot.
Definitely.
Yeah. Wasn't that difficult. So how'd you guys fare on him?
So we had a similar thing. So we were going in on normal and heroic with about 28, 29 people, just trying to max out as many people as possible. So heroic got a little dicey with some of the stacking. But what we ended up doing was kind of we positioned 4 raid markers around the boss, kind of in a square. And so those would be each of the stacks for those the little miasma circles that you gotta heal the other people in. And so each group would stack on a different point, and then that gave us an opening in between each group for those ejection people who get the big beam to run between. So it's a safe place for them to just move. They knew they weren't going to hit anybody. So that was the way we handled that. Just expunge when you get that circle and you got to run out and drop the orb. You just bail out to the outside of the room, let somebody with immunities go back through, clear those orbs. So like a rogue with cloak or a paladin with bubble, they can go back through and just break some of those orbs that are left behind by that mechanic on heroic. And then like you were saying, just when he gets his full energy and he's going to eat everybody, you run to the other side of the room, get out of that, healers heal up, pop a raid cooldown, you're good to go. Just rinse and repeat.
Yep. Yeah, that one was surprisingly easy once we figured it out.
It's high damage in some cases, but they're predictable mechanics for sure. So once you get the rhythm, that dance is there. And
honestly, I felt like the healing mechanic was super interesting. I really enjoyed it, actually. Like, it was something, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. At least that I can remember. If it's been used, it's very rare that they use it. They
used it on Unat. So the second boss in the Crucible of Storms.
I blocked that out completely.
Raid, last expansion. Yeah. So not a whole lot of people saw it, but that mechanic was one of the final phase mechanics. I thought it was a really cool way of doing it, and I'm glad they kind of brought it back, because it definitely creates some interesting ways that you got to stack your group sometimes.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those things that, like, I know Allie, I whispered her, she was from Dungeon Fable, she was in the raid, and she was on that fight. I hate this healing mechanic. I was like, I know, I don't blame you. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool. I think it was a well-done fight. I enjoyed it. It was interesting seeing a big blue monster, though, in the middle of all this red.
Yeah.
One thing to note, too, every mechanic in this fight is white or light blue. So if you get the arrow on you, like there's a little chevron-looking arrow that's silver that comes on, like that forms above your head when you're targeted for the blaster beam thing. I can't remember what that's called, but it's hard to see when you're in the middle of all this stuff. And so then you throw in some Night Fae abilities where there's some electric blue going across, those tendrils and with the stomp, and then I have the Fae transfusion, so there's that big blue circles. There's just blue everywhere. So if you have a hard time with the color blue, you might want to adjust your screen a little bit, just because there's a lot of it.
I think he's kind of just an interesting boss in himself because he doesn't really have any ties to Nathrius, but what I can gather from what it is just this type of creature called a devourer. It just eats anima whenever it can, and it just made its way into Castle Nathria because that's where a ton of anima is, and he's looking to eat.
He's hanging out. He's there for the free buffet. That's pretty good. Also, next up here, so we didn't get the Sun King or Artificer.
Okay.
Well, let's dive into the Sun King a little bit.
Yeah.
What did you notice with the Sun King?
Sun King has a good amount of stuff going on with it. So it is, if anybody is a Wrath of the Lich King raider, you'll remember Valithria, which was a boss in Ice Crown that you had to heal up, and that was a big mechanic of it. Is you weren't necessarily only healing your raid and your tanks, you had to heal the boss too, and keep ads off them, CC, do a bunch of different things to keep it going. So the idea with Sun King's Salvation is you've got Kael'thas imprisoned in Castle Nathria, and you got to heal him up to break his shade out. So there's a phase where you're focusing ads and healing the boss up, and you've got multiple ways of doing that. And then once you get him healed to a certain point, he'll break out his shade, and his shade is a high DPS phase where you're burning him down, you're soaking a mechanic together as a raid team, you're baiting his flames towards the outside of the room so that you're not one-shotting somebody running in front of the tanks. And you're kiting some phoenixes. So there's a lot going on.
Oh man,
it's a fun fight. There is a definite ad priority that we could probably go into on a more in-depth strategy podcast. But the ads will drop these little infuser things that you can heal up, and they'll heal Kael'thas for 1% of his health. So DPS who have a healing ability, you're going to be used here. A lot of raids are over healing the fight on normal and heroic because it's easier to just dump a bunch of healers into this, just enough DPS to kill the ads, and then just pump heals into the boss. I think it's pretty fun mechanic, and there's even ways, there's little devices next to Kael'thas. There's 4 pillars that DPS classes can click on and funnel health from themselves into Kael'thas too. So those are effective ways to heal up. There's ads that'll drain his health. The infusers, you want to kill those ASAP. You've got gargoyles that'll heal themselves up. The assassins, if you don't kill them quick enough. Like, there's a lot going on in this fight. I think it's awesome.
Oh man, that sounds terrifying.
It's great. It's great.
Terrifying but exciting all at the same time. I can't wait to see that. Hopefully we get to that one next week or this week or this last week. You know what I mean?
They've definitely they've made it a little easier since week 1, so I would definitely recommend going to it probably next. If your choice is Sun King or Lady Inerva, go Sun King next.
Yeah, Lady Inerva. I have a story about her because we went to her.
Okay,
but we didn't fare very well, and I'll tell you why here in a second. But let's talk about the Artificer Zymox first.
Yeah. So, Artificer Zymox. He's a crafty fellow. He's got a few different mechanics going on, so what you want to pay attention to in this fight is he's got these portal mechanics. It's actually really cool. So if you were ever a class that was like, I'm too slow, I can't move, I'm a shadow priest, got no movement abilities, it's sad life. Well, there's 2 portals that you'll be required to drop, and you want to drop them on opposite sides of the room because you're going to be kiting some ads. You're going to be moving explosive seeds across the room.
Oh no.
You're going to be dodging beams. There's a lot going on in this fight. Tanks get to kite. They get to kite a big bomb away from the raid every 30 seconds or so. There's explosions, there's lights. It's it's chaos. It's controlled chaos, and it's beautiful. So phase 1, you're focusing a lot on those portals. Normal, I don't actually know if you have the ad spawn that you have to kite away. That may be a heroic only mechanic, but you have to kite those. An easy way to do it, because they increase in speed, is so you get next to one of the portals, you wait for it to get close to you, you jump in the portal, you hop over to the other side of the room, keep blasting on the boss. Ad probably won't catch up to you at that point, so it's a nice way to juke the ad.
Nice. As long as your partner does the right thing, you should be fine.
Right. So yeah, put marks on opposite sides of the room. Somebody's the orange boy, somebody's the diamond boy. You split off. You go drop your portals. That person who went out to middle of nowhere to drop their portal, they can take the portal back. It's easy. Yeah. Whoever dropped it close, they may get sucked to the other side of the room temporarily. It is what it is.
It is. Whoops.
Yeah. Phase 2 is where those seeds start spawning, and those are big explosive bombs that if you leave them on the ground for too long, they will put a giant blue circle that's going to blow up on the raid. So what you want to do is use those portals to yeet those seeds over to the other side of the room, and then drop them and get the heck out back over to your tanks. It's a fun dance once you get it down.
That sounds...
Phase 3?
I was going to say, that sounds terrifying on paper, but I'm sure once you get into it, it's probably not too bad.
No. Yeah, normal only has 4 seeds, so you only have to move a couple. Because if you think about where 2 of them spawn, you can kind of move those seeds over to that area, and you're probably safe. Heroic's got 8, so there's a little more to deal with. You want probably your high mobility, like your hunters and your druids and your mages, taking care of the seeds as much as they can, because they have those tools to move quick if they can't get to the portal. But phase 3, it's my favorite, and it's some people's least favorite. But you drop the portals a little closer, so you've still got one on the wall, but you got one in the middle of the room now. He'll drop a giant weapon in the room. So the whole idea behind this guy is he's got these artifacts, he's trying them out, he's having fun with them. This one is the Edge of Annihilation. He drops a giant axe in the middle of the room, and it sucks you in. And it will do an increasing speed suck in until it does an explosion. So you have to time your pull into these portals so that you can pour it back out into a safe spot. And if you do it too early or too late, you may just die to the blades.
You did, yeah.
It's fun. But it definitely takes some getting used to.
Well, I am very excited to go see that one. Well, cool. And so I think we can end on this one here, on Lady Inerva, and I think next episode we can finish the raid piece, because I think the last few bosses are a little crazy.
I would say Inerva's probably the hardest, or the most going on out of the first 6, 7. Then Sludge Fist is your typical patchwork, punch you in the face, destroy your raid until you're geared enough to beat him. But Stone Legion and Denathrius, a little spoiler for next episode, they are amazing fights.
Yeah, see, and I want to dive into those a little more, because I think that would be... I want to give them the proper time, Yeah. It's like when you pour a nice glass of wine, you gotta let it breathe a little, Yeah. But we're gonna let the Stone Legion and Sire Denathrius, whatever he is, we'll really dive into those, because I think if we can get past those, I want to try to lay out a roadmap to help whoever's trying to, if they're stuck there. Maybe we can give some good tips on that, and I think another week in the raid's going to help us with that.
Yeah.
So last on our list here for this episode is Lady Inerva Darkmane. Now, we got punched in the face by her probably about 4 times. But the fun part was our DBM was all messed up. So all of us running DBM, as soon as we got into her room and pulled her, we got a nice big fat Lua Air window in our screen. So, and every time you closed it, it would just pop right back up. So I was like, damn it. So I had to like grab it and drag it to the upper left corner of my screen. So I couldn't see half the screen for that entire thing. But this fight has some craziness to it, and let's jump into that. I don't even know what we did, so I don't think I'll be any help here.
So the overview of this fight, and this is probably the most complex if you're looking into every little detail. The raid leader should probably know each little detail, but he can tell other people what to do here. So you don't need to know each and every single ability, just know certain things happen at certain times if you don't do certain things. So the room has 4 containers on the back side, 2 on each side. And the boss will gain and lose abilities based on how much anima is in each of those containers. And so there's breakpoints at 33% and 66% for each of those containers. If a container ever hits 100, your raid's going to die. It's going to pulse damage that you cannot heal through. It's over real quick. So don't let it hit 100, but there are strategies to when you are able to drain those containers and prevent Darkmane from rolling your raid. So she will focus each 25% of her health. She will focus one container. So there's actually 25% HP or a minute 40. Those are the break points for her to switch to focusing another container. And so she'll go from the farthest left to the farthest right throughout the fight. So what we found most successful with that mechanic was drain the container she's about to switch to. That allows it to empty, and so then when she's focusing it, you can interact with it. So you're starting with a 0% if you're draining with it right before she switches. So some of that timing can be a little tricky, but that's what worked for our raid, and we were able to get it down. Some of the mechanics that are happening throughout the fight, and that's based on those percentages that each container's at. But there's a bottled anima circle that she'll throw out. You got to put a raider in each of those to soak it. Otherwise, your raid takes a lot of damage. It's not shared, so just put one person in there. Somebody with a personal cooldown, get them in there. You don't need to stack your raid in those circles. She'll do she'll target 2 people with little add circles, so you'll get a big red circle around you. You want to take those into melee so your tanks can control those adds, get kicks on those adds and burn those down while you're pushing Inerva. Another mechanic that she has, and I can't remember if it's on normal, but it is on heroic, is she'll target 3 people and give them a little chain that connects them, a little blood connection. And you got to find 3 orbs in the room, and you got to overlap your triangle with that layout of those circles in a triangle. So it can get tricky if one of those people dies, but you can still make it work if you're able to quickly adjust your positioning. So getting those lines through those orbs as quick as you can, that'll help your healers out quite a bit.
Yeah, that we did find out. I got one, and I ran to the orb. And then I had somebody say, stand behind it, and I was like, well, it's a circle. Where's the front? That was my thought. And so you don't want to stand on the thing, right? You want to kind of give it some breathing room.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
and so you can even practice that with like a piece of paper. Draw 3 orbs on there, and then draw a triangle through them, but not on top of them. And so play around with those different kind of images, and that's a little easier because somebody might be used to, I run to this thing and stack on it, but no, you need to draw your lines through them.
You got to visualize the triangle.
Visualize it. You got 3 sides. Use them.
So you're telling me I need Pythagorean theorem?
Yeah, you're gonna do some trig in this fight on the fly.
Yeah, because that killed us like every time when we got that on us, and I think it's just because we're so like every raid mechanic since the dawn of this game is either run from thing or run in thing, and so everyone's mindset is run in thing, and that is not how that works.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the 20, so there is kind of enraged to this fight. Each container, so each 25%, basically, you got to burn through it quick enough so that container's not going to hit 100 while she's focusing it. But the other containers are slowly filling up at the same time too. So the fourth one can be the most dangerous, because that one really, she's not going to switch away from that fourth one. She's either going to fill it or you're going to kill her. So having that fourth one empty by the time you get to there, and that may be where you want to bloodlust. Just, you know, knowing your raid's DPS, knowing which 25% is going to be the easiest for you guys to push through. But usually you're going to see that on that fourth one where everybody's like, oh crap, got to kill her because we can't interact with these anymore.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was fun to discuss and try to figure out. Like it was. I mean, this fight looks insane, and I think having the DDM issues that we were having didn't help us. So I think when we go see it again next time we're in there, I think we're going to have a much more successful adventure. So,
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's definitely.
I think it's going to be one of those fights where strategies won't be the same across every single raid team. I think with the 4 mechanics and whatever your raid's kind of easier to deal with, there may be better optimizations you can make for when you're draining a tank or when you're not draining a tank. So
and
I think it's a fun fight.
Yeah, no, it's definitely fun. And my first impression so far, I mean, I love this thing. Like I loved the Castlevania games back in the day, and this just feeds right into that. With the atmosphere and the music and the bosses themselves, like, it just feels super cool. I'm enjoying it.
Right.
Cool, man. Well, I think we'll take a break there.
Okay. Yeah, that's still got like half the raid.
Yeah. We still have quite a bit to go. We have the Council of Blood, Sludge Fist, and the Stone Legion. But we'll tackle those next episode, because I want to, like, as we get towards the finish line, I want to make sure we give enough love to those bosses and not try to rush it. Because, as odds we know, as you're raiding, things get harder as you progress. So, with that said, one of the tools that I'm going to use this time around, and you mentioned it before recording, and I did a guest spot on one of my friends' podcasts called Wow, It's Marty. That's coming out soon. And he mentioned it to me, but it's called mythictrap.com. And this website is amazing. You could go through, you can get raid strats on normal, heroic, mythic. You can select your role, so if you're DPS or tank or healer, it gives you a breakdown for what you need to worry about. And it actually shows little GIFs of what the mechanic is. So if, for example, on Lady Minerva, if you get exposed heart, let's say, it has a little window that says what to do. Tank, run far away. And it's really simple to understand. And it has a little GIF of a tank running far away, and it has a little arrow following the tank. And so each of these little videos say, watch out for this thing. And it's like super simple to look at, and highly recommend it. I'm going to put the strats out to help them test it. I mean, I'm not like a part of the site or anything, but just from what I can tell in looking at the first couple bosses, like the advice that's given is pretty close to what we did. So and it actually has like full-on videos if you want. It has the kill video too, so if you want to see it all put together, it's a really awesome study tool if you care about that.
Definitely.
Let's see. So what other study tools have you been using? Is that the main one, or is it just jumping in and hashing it out with the homies?
So we didn't have any consistent PTR raid testing, especially because it happens usually Thursday on the beta, Thursday, Friday afternoons when most people are working. So we only got a few of those tests in with some of the raiders, but so we used raid logs from there to kind of study damage patterns and what effects were happening. But Wowhead, Icy Veins, both those websites have really solid strategy guides, Ready Check Pull videos, and the Fat Boss guys are making videos again for their kills. So there's a lot of strategy tools out there that you can kind of glean from either pieces or just use one as a standalone guide. And I think they're pretty well up to date, even though that this content's brand new. So,
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, that's going to lead us into the fun and exciting scrub moments. My mind just went blank there.
Scrub moments.
So with a new raid come new opportunities to gloriously mess something up. And
oh yeah.
I'm gonna read a couple here. So if you're not already, you can come and join the Dragon Powered Studio Discord, where this show has an actual little Scrubs vs. the World section on the network. The network Discord, and you can come hang out and chat and share your fun scrubby moments with us. That'd be awesome. So from that Discord, I have Acid Tears here. He says, not really a scrub moment for me, but rather a scrub moment for the game. Now, he's in denial. Let's just call that what it is.
It's not his fault.
I was doing Theater of Pain, and we got to the point where you are taking portals to the different platforms. I clicked the portal, and the game kept bouncing me around in the air as a green orb without bringing me to the next portal. Eventually, it times out, and I appeared in the middle of the air and fell to my death. Yeah, I don't know, Acid. I think maybe you did something wrong there, but never happened to me. Now, I've gone to the one portal with that stupid mob that has the tornado thing and been blasted off right as I landed.
Oh, yeah.
Having to do the run of shame. The missus and I got hit with that one. That was fun. She was like, what the hell just happened? She was not happy.
Tornadoes.
Yeah. Then, speaking of WoW, it's Marty. Marty said when he cleared the normal raid, we got the quest to basically deliver... basically a quest to just go deliver an item to get a lot of anima. Someone was so wise to say, wait to deliver it until reset so you can instantly complete the weekly gather 1k anima quest.
Right.
I thought that was smart. We continued onwards to heroic mode, and by that time the raid ended. I decided to quickly pop in and deliver the quest. Yeah, he did not wait till reset and did it right after the raid.
See.
It's glorious. See, that's a beautiful...
That'll cost you.
Beautiful scrub moment. And then right here from my good pal, Frasley Sparkspan. Heyo. Fraz says, I think it was one quest where I spent 15 to 20 minutes attempting it, only to find out it was in another area. Don't ask me how I missed the on-screen marker. Well, in your defense, Fraz, when you move to a certain angle, the markers kind of disappear, so I give you a pass on that.
They just wanted that vanilla experience.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, Projali, do you have any wonderful scrub moments to share?
It's funny that Acid brought up Theater Pain, because that one does have some interesting opportunities to scrub it up, especially on your way to the Lich boss with all that teleportation. But I have definitely wild charged out of the way of a tornado only to go off the edge, more than I'd care to say publicly. We'll just keep that number private. One of my guildies managed to... He also got knocked off by a tornado. He's a shaman, though, and so thinking I had battle-resed him, he took his Ankh. The Ankh doesn't put you back, at least when it happened, doesn't put you back up on the platform. No, it leaves you on the bottom of that floor that's about 100 yards down. You can't get back up. So mid-key, he had to hearth, and we had to run out and summon him, and somehow we still timed the keep. But it was hilarious, because we were all just flabbergasted that you can onk in an area that you can't escape.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is wonderful. Well, that's how you learn sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, my scrub moment du jour this week was, so I got those gloves off that world boss, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I have a add-on that sells my junk. Somehow, I accidentally marked that thing as junk. And so, I would go and it auto-sells my stuff and repairs, And the first time it happened, I'm like, oh, crap, where'd my gloves go? Oh, I must have accidentally sold them, right? Go to the buyback tab. There it is. Grab them, pull them back out. And then before I log off the other night, I go sell my crap as I always do. I always reset my bags. And I switched them out because I had the herbalist or the gathering enchantment on the other glove, so I was out urban. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I took them off. So then I sell my stuff and log out. I get back on. I go to put them on to run a dungeon. And I'm like, wait a minute. Where are my gloves? So I spent a good 10 minutes frantically searching my bags, my bank. I went all over the place looking for my gloves, and I vendored them, and I didn't buy them back. So I had to go use the the Blizzard recover an item service.
You had to do the website walk of shame?
I did. Which, kudos to Blizzard, because they got it to me instantly. Mm-hmm. And I have not had any issues using that service, so I thought that was pretty funny.
Nice.
Any final thoughts, tips, or tricks you'd like to share with the folks out there?
I feel like it's a lot easier to manage the things you got to do on a week-to-week basis now. So just get in, enjoy the game, do what you can. There's not an endless net grind, and you can only get so much renown in a week. It feels more manageable, and the content, I think, is a lot. They've done a lot with the storyline and digging into the covenants. There's a lot to do, and it's a lot of fun.
It's super fun. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I don't feel the stress I felt from Battle for Azeroth. I actually enjoy logging in and going, oh, cool, I get to go do this now. Instead of, I gotta go do 17 of these and 14 of those and hope for the best. Cool. Wow, man.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. Projali and I would like to thank everyone here for just bearing with us there during those puppy interruptions, as well as some of the technical difficulties we had. Lost some of the recording there at the end, but that's why I kind of chopped off. But most importantly, got the important stuff there for Castle Nathria. Hope everyone in there enjoys that raid and takes something here that will help them defeat those evil bosses inside Denathrius' lair. Step on by Twitter at ScrubsVerse. You can also leave a review on your favorite podcasting app. That would be awesome. And you can find us over on warcraftradio.com. Whatever you're doing out there, we hope you're having a great day. And as always, keep getting good.
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.